Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, can you believe it's been 2 years, almost to the day, as to when Nicola Bulley disappeared off the face of the earth to all intents and purposes? Do you remember when you first heard about it? I think I must have seen it on Sky News. I just remember them saying that a woman had gone missing next to a river. And I remember thinking, somebody's attacked that woman. That was the first thing, obviously, that came into my head, because when a woman's out walking on her own with a dog in a sort of lonely spot, that's, if you follow true crime like I do and have done for so long, of course, that's the first thing that occurs to you, that somebody has attacked this woman and, something bad has happened to her. Anyway, I don't know if you remember where you were when you first heard about it. Some people didn't hear about it right at first, because at first, it was a woman who'd gone missing, but it's sort of over quite quickly, didn't it? Over the next few days, the whole sort of incident blew up all over social media, all over mainstream media first, and then of course there's a reflection of that on social media. So this happened actually on the 27th of January 2 years ago, 2023. Of course, that was a Friday, wasn't it? It was a normal Friday to all intents and purposes, to Nicola and her family, Paul, her partner, the two girls. From what we can gather from interviews we've seen with her partner and things we've heard, it started off as a normal day. Nicola was taking the children to school. We've got sort of door cam footage, haven't we, of her getting into the car, looking a little bit like she's in a bit of a bad mood. I don't know. That's just how it struck me. Getting the girls into the car, her dog Willow, her partner Paul, he was there at the car sort of looking at her a little bit, like he felt like she wasn't quite, it did feel like that watching that car door cam footage. Anyway, off she went. She got in her car. We haven't seen the car driving off even now. The car, we don't know which direction it went when it got to the road. This has been part of the problem, hasn't it, with the Nicola Bulley case, is the drip feed of information. Why they didn't just show the whole sort of footage right from day one, who knows? There's so many mysteries, anomalies in this case, some of which look clearer now from 2 years on, but lots of which still don't seem really clear why the police acted the way they did. And that's what's resulted in this case just becoming this massive monster on not only social media, but mainstream media. Everybody became interested in this case, didn't they? Even people who normally weren't interested maybe in true crime or mysteries, or even hardly ever watched the news. And then it became a worldwide interest. Everybody, I think, could see, to me, the reason for that is that Nicola, she was just like doing something so normal, wasn't she? She took her children to school. She had a few chats with people in the car park. Then she took her dog for a walk down by the River Wyre. This is in Lancashire in the UK, in the north of England. Just all normal things she did every day, day in, day out, for years and years and years. And then this day, it wasn't a normal day. It was all normal until it wasn't. Then Nicola was last seen walking her dog, walking with her phone held out in front of her, apparently. She was on a work call. She worked sort of remotely. She was part of one of these Teams calls, though there's no evidence that she participated in the call in any way. It's just like it was there on listen. And then she disappeared. She sent an email apparently just before 9 a.m. We've never seen what, it's never been said what that email was or contained, which, these are things that do look strange, because why not? If it's all been, sorted now, and there's been an inquest and there was found to be an accident, why is anything being kept now? Anyway, never mind. She then sent a message, apparently to organise a play date with the mother of her children's friends. And then that was it. So that there's a very short window between where she was last seen in the bench area. There's a bench there nearby the river, not right on the edge of the river. I mean, it's quite set back. Her phone was on that bench. The dog's harness was sort of on the slope going down to the river wire, which is we're going to be looking at some pictures of the river. It's a slow moving river, a shallow river. There's quite a steep drop down to it, but to get to that edge, you've got to go down a slope. It's not, Nicola had been walking there for years and years and years, and not only her, but lots of other people. Nobody's ever fallen in before or since. So that, again, is something, isn't it, that's strange. Why on this particular day, unless, they're insisting that there was no ball. Was she trying to save the dog? Well, the dog wasn't wet, so she wasn't trying to do that. Was she trying to, did she go to the edge for some reason and slip in? This is basically what they're saying, isn't it? Or this was what was found at the inquest with absolutely no evidence. Even the coroner himself said he does not know how Nicola ended up in the water, but he still came to a verdict of accidental death, even though there was no proof or evidence. Should have been an open verdict. That's another reason I think people still sort of, speculate about this case. Now, the family, it looks like, wanted an accidental death verdict. And of course, the family are the most important thing. Look, I know you've all got your views. I've got my views. I don't know what happened to Nicola. I just know that I don't feel like it feels right that she fell in. I don't feel that she did it to herself, but I don't actually know what happened. So, just seems strange that in that 10-minute window, something happened. And yet all those other, there were lots of times before and after there were people around who would have seen what happened. But just, in that 10 minutes, though 10 minutes is a longer time than you think. It happened, but no splash was heard, no scream was heard, not from Nicola herself, though some people said that they did hear screams by the river. That was discounted in the inquest. There's so many mysteries in this case. I think that's why people still feel uncomfortable about it. Some people feel it's a police cover-up. Some people feel it's a psyop. Some people feel that somebody did something to Nicola, someone close to home maybe, even though referring to Paul. But Paul did, he was supposedly did not leave the house. Or did he ask somebody else to do something to Nicola? There's not a theory that hasn't been put forward or thought of. But of course, one of the theories may be that it was accidental. So, it's like just comes down to the fact of what you believe or what you feel. And also, I don't think it's got any less, this feeling, in the 2 years that have passed. Can you believe it's been 2 years? Oh, my goodness. 2 years that her daughters have had to live without their mummy. 2 years that her mum and dad have not had one of their daughters. Of course, she's got sister Louise. And 2 years that Paul's been without her. We don't know the private life really of Paul and Nicola. There's lots of rumours, go round, but you know, rumours are just that, rumours, so we don't really know. So the thing is, a lot of people feel like some injustice has been made, that Nicola hasn't had the justice that she deserved. The true reason, the true explanation of what happened to her that day has not been revealed. In the meantime, of course, there's lots of other things. You know, there's the Peter Faulding debacle. There's the Mark Williams Thomas trying to ingratiate himself into the inquiry. There's the psychic who finally found Nicola's body. There's so many. There's the police that afterwards either retired, or Peter Lawson who dropped dead, and we still don't know how he died. You know, there's too many mysteries around this case. That is the problem, isn't it? But anyway, what I thought we'd do today, seeing as it's 2 years on, I thought I'd go back and look at some of the videos from right back at the beginning. Some of the videos I made, and I've made a lot of videos about Nicola Bulley, certainly in the first year especially, trying to sort of make sense of what happened. And some of them, it'd be interesting to, now a lot of them I've made members only, and I will be making all my, after today, or however long it takes to show some of these videos, I will be making it all members only. It's time to move on, really, isn't it? The family have moved on. The family don't want any more. The family are happy with the verdict of accidental death from the inquest. And, you have to respect what the family want, because if it was your loved one, you would want your wishes to be respected. But then that doesn't mean to say that people still can't have their thoughts. But I think, sometimes I look at some social media things that are just going on and on about it and going round in circles and just getting nowhere, really. So what is the point? I don't see the point in that. Sorry, because I would if the family were looking for answers. There is a point to it. But if the family aren't looking for answers, then really I don't see that it's anybody else's business to do so. But today, I thought, because it's 2 years on, we'll have a look. I know people like to talk about it as well. I think, people cared about Nicola, whatever anyone else thinks, and whatever final reason that people come to of what have happened to Nicola. I think the general consensus is people cared about Nicola. They care about what happened to her. These are things. This is what's important. Everybody, whatever their theory is, they did care about Nicola and the two girls in particular. So I'm going to start off with this video, which is quite, what's the word? I think it's one of the first videos that I made. So I haven't sat and watched it before we're doing this, so there'll be things in it. It won't be very good. I'll just warn you that now. The, what's the word? The video, the audio quality is not very good, and so it won't be that good, but it's interesting to see, just to see. Now, I probably won't have time to say hello to everybody, because I can see there's quite a lot of people in and there's more people in, but I will do my best. But I'm going to upload some photos as well. But first of all, we're going to watch this. Let's see. So this it's called The Riddle of the River. And as I say, I think this is one of the very first. Hang on. Where is it? So I just wonder how this happened. I mean, I did a video about it, because I was just started sort of doing quite a lot of crime videos. And I didn't do a video about Nicola at the time because I knew it was going to, you know, blow up the way it did. I was just generally doing videos about crime. And this interested me because, just like it did with everyone, the story of Nicola attracted everyone's attention. So I did this video, and that's when everything really just started blowing up, you know. Anyway, hang on. So let's have a look at it. Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a very high profile recent sort of case, if I can call it a case, because no foul play has been proven or apparently suspected by the police. But after I've told you the story, maybe you can decide what you think. I'm not going to cast any aspersions against anyone in this video, because I think that's been done quite a lot by other people. And I have my opinions, but nothing's been proven. I don't want to say things that may not be true. Maybe in another video, if anything else comes up, let's say. But let's just hear the story of Nicola Bulley, because this story, especially in Britain, it just captured everyone's, a bit like the Gabby Petito case, where everyone was hoping for, you know, a happy ending, though it seemed apparent right from the beginning that there probably wouldn't be a happy ending. And this case has taken all twists and turns, and I think there's a lot of mysteries about this case. I think there's a lot more to come out, though, when or if. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be one of those cases that will always leave like a question mark in people's minds. But let's look at what happened. Now, if you follow my channel, you know, I'm not here. I'm just here talking about these cases and offering ideas and my opinions, and it's not I don't want to, how can I put it, first of all, I don't want to go into gory details about anything. I mean, you know, either, you know, I will do cases in the future that maybe are quite disagreeable with things that happen, but I don't want to talk about that. I think that's disrespectful. That I think that's what I'm trying to say. I want to be respectful to whoever it is, and the families of whoever has suffered from the cases that I'm talking about. And I don't want to go into any gory details, or it's not salacious or anything like that. It's just, I think things happen. What I found since I started enjoying true crime, which sounds awful to enjoy it, but the thing is, it's quite difficult then to go back and watch things that aren't real, because real things are, you know, they say truth is stranger than fiction. It certainly is. You know, you try and watch a crime drama after you've watched a bit of true crime, you think, you know. Sorry, just let me fast forward a bit because I'm waffling as usual. Let's see. In the beginning, they were asked by the police for any information and if they found any clothing, or so people were going there and actually being armchair well, not even armchair detectives, I'm an armchair detective. They were going there and actually, you know, searching places. And yeah, so I think it's important to remember that in the beginning, the police that were asking you know, for information for the public, to help, anything they saw. Did they see any clothes? Did they see anything on the riverbank? Blah, de, blah, de, blah. Now, of course, the police asked all that. And then when people started going there, because it's a tiny, tiny place. And I can see somebody who was asking for pictures of the riverbank. I am going to show that. It's a tiny, tiny place. You know, just 5 people there would seem like there was a lot of people there. It looks big sometimes when you see it on the on the telly or whatever, but it's a tiny area. Those fields are small, they're not big. So, if you had 5-10 people looking along that riverbank for clothes or for clues or for Nicola, it would, you would notice it. And then, of course, all the media were there, the police were there themselves looking. Don't forget that very first day when Nicola disappeared. Everyone was there, like the police, the search and rescue people, the mountain rescue, everyone was looking for Nicola from that very first day that she disappeared, and nothing was found. The only things that were found, of course, was the harness on the riverbank and the phone, which was still not, was it on the bench or was it the side of the bench? You get conflicting stories about that. But anyway, it was near the bench area. But apart from that, nothing else was found, was it? Until Nicola herself, her body was found in the river a couple of weeks later. So it's important to remember that the police actually did ask for help. This is what always happens. The police start off asking for help with cases, with missing person cases or any case. And then I think it just got completely out of control for some unknown reason. In fact, they were going there so much, they made a nuisance of themselves, So anyway, we'll get to that. So she was 45 years old. She had 2 very young daughters at junior school age. I don't know much about them. I don't want to talk about them or find, at the end of the day, those girls, they should remain practically anonymous because photos of them have been liberally shared, unfortunately, not only by TikTokers, etc., but partners. I don't really like that either, because those girls should be anonymous, I think. But anyway, never mind. And Nicola lived in a quite nice house with her partner, Paul Ansell. Not married, but been together for quite a long time, 9 years. Sorry, that was Amazon. And she was a mortgage advisor, and apparently she's very good at her job, very personable. She's certainly very attractive. You can see that on her photos. And yeah, so she was living, a normal life that a lot of people live, taking her children to work to school in the morning, working online because she worked a lot, not probably all the time, but she could work online, so she would take the dog for a walk. And this Friday, the 27th of January, was a normal day to begin with. It's believed, because again, we don't know. It just strikes me, because no CCTV has been released of Nicola actually walking up the road to take her dog for a walk. But there was some CCTV released showing her putting her dog in the car and going off to school. And then other people say maybe that wasn't her, maybe that was a different day. I mean, there's so many. And then her partner in the TV interview said he normally put the girls in the car and put the dog in the, so again, this is what we're told or what we're given to think, but I don't think any of it is 100% certain that this is what's happened. Anyway, she took the girls. Anyway, I'm just interrupting that a minute to show. Sorry about that. That was Amazon. They always come when I'm doing a live. Okay, so these were those steps down to the river. So these are the steps down to the river. See how shallow that river is. This is what's so strange to me, is because if you fell into that river, it's shallow for a start. You see throughout the case, as we've seen people going to the river, the divers getting in the river, etc., they just go up and down there, in and out of there without much difficulty. Now, I know if Nicola fell, maybe she hit her head on a rock. I mean, to me, she would have to. But then I don't see how she would have been carried away by the current, because there was no current that point where Nicola would have been. it's shallow, there's very little current, there's the rocks at the bottom. If she fell in, she may have banged her head. I think that's a possibility, but wouldn't she have still been there? Remember Peter Faulding's infamous comment, you know, when people, bodies, or was it Emma that said that Peter had said, bodies normally stay where they're put? You know, and any expert about, you know, even Peter Faulding, any expert about drownings and things like that always tells us that bodies tend to go down to the bottom from where, you know, where they breathe their last breath. They sink down to the bottom and they pop back up again. I mean, they were right with the length of time, this sort of 3 weeks, isn't it? 21 to 23 days that they expect bodies to float back up to the surface. They were right about that, but I will never understand why Nicola was not found in those first few days when everyone was looking for Nicola. You know, everyone was out there. The police, they were they had dogs, they had boats, the fire brigade were there. They were wading through the water. They were using sonar. They were using sonar on the end of poles. You know, why did they not find her? You know, that to me is a big, is the main thing to me that seems strange, is why she was not found on that very first day. Now, we've found since, and we know quite a lot of people die in rivers, and they do take a long time sometimes to be found. Riley Strain in America, he was quite a long time before he was found. Gaynor Lord. Then we had Ziello, the little boy. He was found ages later because because of the weather conditions, he'd been taken off. He wasn't actually in the end even found in the river because he'd been swept away. People get swept away. But this river was different. This is a very narrow river. I've been there. I've been to the scene. It hardly moves. So we're going to look at some videos. People have taken videos. This river does not look like a river where you can get swept away in a raging sort of tide or whatever. So this is a police photo of the steps down and the, you know, where was she then? Where was she? She wasn't there, you know. Of course, Peter Faulding told us probably more times, over 20 times categorically she wasn't in the river until suddenly she was, then months later. But, you know, it all adds to the mystery. He hasn't helped, has he, add to the mystery of this? He's made everything worse, along with Mark Williams, Twonk, his bosom buddy. She then walked, because what she would do then would leave her car in the car park near the school and take the dog over the road to a river where everybody would walk their dogs. There's fields, a path, you know, a very beautiful spot right by the river wire. Now, so we're given to, there's no CCTV of Nicola even walk. I mean, I haven't seen any CCTV of her actually in the field or anywhere near the field, or, you know, they said she was seen, and they showed CCTV of people who they were looking for to talk to, people who were there on that day. But I have not seen any CCTV of Nicola actually walking on that field. But anyway. So she dropped her children off, apparently, at approximately 8:40, and then she set off for her normal walk with her Springer Spaniel, Willow. If only dogs could talk, because Willow will know everything that exactly happened, but of course, poor Willow, we can't ask her. It was a very cold day. I found that quite interesting. It was a freezing day and it was muddy as well, and around the river and that. So, because I just thought, how could nobody see her, or not many people see her? But apparently there weren't many people out walking that morning because it was so cold, bitterly cold and muddy, etc. Now, at 7 minutes to 9, she sent an email to her employer. Now, I'd like to say us, we know she was alive then, but we don't. Someone sent an email to her employer on her telephone, maybe her. At 8:57, she sent a text to a friend to arrange a play date. This again seems strange to me in view of what the police think happened to her after that. Why would you arrange a play date? But anyway, and then at 9:01, she joined a Microsoft Teams call with work. Now, apparently this is not, although she joined it, this is not a call where you have to actually say anything. It'd be like your boss talking and there might be 30 people in your team listening to it, but you don't necessarily need to contribute to it, maybe just telling you what your the goals are for that month, or, you know, so it's not, it wasn't noticed that she didn't actively join in, because a lot of the people on it wouldn't actively join in. You just had to be connected and listening. And apparently the last time she was seen, though we haven't seen any CCTV of this is just what they're saying, 9:10, she was seen walking the dog on the field next to the river, off lead. The dog was off lead, and apparently this was common. I think that's I'm a doggo. Okay, I'm just going to change over now. This is a video that I took when I went there to the actual scene, and this is the bit of the bench area, because people are asking about the bench area. Come on, where's it gone? Where's it gone? I just got it up on the so let's just have a look. So as I say, this is a video. Now, when I went there, it was in the July or something, so it was there was a lot more greenery than on the actual day, but it give you an idea. Let's see.
From Manchester, Jason.
He
He does.
wonder what was going on there, because
He does, you know.
Just turn the sound down. So, not the best video, because I'm not brilliant at video, but we're just coming into the bench area now, I think. So, of course, it was on the time when it happened in the January, it was a lot sparser than that. But you can see the difference. Look at all this foliage there. I mean, none of that was there on the day that Nicola went missing. But in a minute, you'll see the actual bench area. So here's the actual bench itself. Now, I think you could see there, when you see, that's my sister's legs, bless her. The actual path is nowhere near the edge of the river. The bench is actually nowhere near the edge of the river. You know, when Nicola, for all the according to her Strava, didn't go anywhere near the river when she did her walks around there. She walked around the field, you know, and along the path, but she didn't walk anywhere near the edge of the river. So why did she that day? And why did nobody see her? You know, I still think it's too much coincidence that nobody saw her. Right, she'd have to be right on the edge to fall into that river. See how the bank is? It's a long way from the path. It's a sloping bank. Look, there's the bench. Here's the bank that goes down here. It wouldn't have had the foliage. But the river's miles away from the bench, miles away from the path, really. You'd have to be on the bank. She would have had to go onto the bank for some reason. Why? Because I don't believe she went there to put on the harness on Willow, because she would have called Willow to her, even, you know, and we've seen lots of pictures where actually Willow still had her harness on most of the time when Nicola was walking her. But apparently this day she took the harness off her, and then Paul said that she did take the harness off so that Willow didn't get caught in bushes and things. But of course, it wasn't like this in the January with all this foliage. It was very stark. So to me, I don't see to fall in that river. You would have to be, you know, standing right on the edge of it, not up there on the path or at the bench area. And again, just seems strange to me that people saw her. So there was like, they saw her up to a certain time, didn't they? People reported seeing her, and then they saw her from a certain time. But in this bit in between, no, you know, where the actual moment that she fell in the river, nobody saw anything, but screams were heard. Of course, it turned out at the inquest as well, a man in black had been seen, but that was discounted. I mean, God, you know, I as much as I'm going to try and give as much info today, I think we'll look at Nicola Bulley in a lot of depth. You know, it's impossible to go through all the different things about the Nicola Bulley case that seem strange, because there's so many of them. But to me, again, how strange that, isn't it? Strange coincidence that 1 minute there were loads of people around seeing Nicola, and then afterwards there were loads of people around finding the dog, and, you know, it seemed like there were quite a few people there. And then just in that 10 minutes, nobody. But that was the 10 minutes that whatever happened to Nicola happened to her. I don't believe in things like that. You know, it just seems odd. Sorry, just fast forward a bit. So, yeah, miles away from the river. Let me move it on a bit. And, you know, you can, because of all the foliage, oh, this is the bridge over. And then we went to the church and had a look at where she was laid to rest. It's a beautiful little, you know, it's one of those lovely little village churches. Let's see. I'm absolutely terrible at videos, I'm afraid. I need to do a course in taking videos. Anyway. So let's go back to that other one that we were watching. Have 3 dogs, and that's exactly what you do. So you keep them on the lead while you're going through the streets or the roads, etc. And then when you get to a nice open space, if your dog is safe off the lead, because I have one dog that rarely comes back, so I tend not to let him off the lead. But any dogs that are safe off the lead, good with other dogs, will come back, you know, will come back to you easily if you shout them. Yeah, you probably would let them off the lead, let them have a run around. Now, this is a strange thing. At 9:20, the police say the phone moved to the vicinity of the bench. I found that quite a strange thing to say. So they're not saying Nicola went to the bench or Nicola put her phone on the bench. before that, they're more or less talking like it's Nicola doing it, but then suddenly it's 9:20. The phone moved in the vicinity of the bench. So by the side of the river, there's a bench. Now, on YouTube, etc., there's lots of, what I found very useful was, because I couldn't imagine the scene, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube and Sky News, etc., showing, that people retracing the steps that she would have taken from the car park where she parked a car, walking to the where she took the dog for a walk, to the bench, which is right next to the river Wire. So it's quite helpful to watch those videos because it gives you a good idea of, well, one, how open it is. It's very open. I just thought, how could something happen to her without anybody seeing it? It just seems so open. There's a lot of people walk around with dogs. Having said that, on that particular day, as I said, there were less people maybe than normal because it was just so bitterly cold. Anyway, now let's have a look at I've got a video ready of the actual, so this is a video just of the river Wire in general that popped up on my timeline. Let's have a look at that. Video popped up today on my YouTube about the river, that somebody had set something off different. So this is not a video that was taken to do with the Nicola Bulley case. It was a video that somebody, for some unrelated reason, just to give you an idea of the river Wire. Places, the St. Michael's Park. Okay, so I'm going to present it to you, and it just interesting, isn't it? So, of course, now that I've watched a couple of river Wire videos, every now and again, I'm sure other ones are going to pop up from 2017. And this guy's, and find.
One thing that we do have to watch out for.
So, sorry, I just want to say, because once you've looked up the river Wire or somewhere like that, then in your recommendations, I'm sure you know on YouTube, then things start to pop up then as recommendations, because at some point I've typed in the river Wire. So quite often videos come up of, totally unrelated to Nicola Bulley. People either while swimming down the river Wire, or in this case, boating down. And it's interesting because they give you the idea of the river itself.
And going to St. Michael's on Wire is that when we're able to float the boat at the yacht club and we set off upstream towards our destination, what you don't realise initially is that you can unintentionally overtake the incoming tide.
So this is interesting. So notice he's coming from the bigger water. He's going from what's it called, Impool or whatever it's called, Skipool, that's it. And he's going towards St. Michael's. So as the river goes towards St. Michael's, it narrows. But it's interesting what he says, that you always have to be aware that you can overtake the tide.
Which can be a bit of a problem. For example, as you approach in Carford Bridge, you can basically run aground if you're too soon upriver without realising it. So you have to take your time and you have to basically go with the flow.
I just thought that was interesting. You can actually run aground. You have to go with the flow. Sorry, get this nice picture of this young lad eating. It's making me hungry now. Yeah, so it's interesting what he said, that you can overtake the tide. Look, even Peter Faulding himself took a video of that river and said, this is how slow moving this river is. It's not, and also it's shallow. The boat, they a couple of times their boat sort of ran aground. It got stuck. I'm talking about the search, the specialists, Peter Faulding and the search team. The boat that they were in ran aground. It was that shallow, and we're supposed to believe that not only that Nicola's body was not found in those first few days when the wilderness dog was looking for her. So even if you believe she slipped in, even if you forget that and think, oh yeah, she slipped in accidentally, why was she not found in those few days? You know, I've heard all the searchers talking about the intensive searches that they made, and she was not found in a shallow river like that. And even if so if you think, all right, well, she could have been missed or blah, 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 it's a police covering up her body. Some people say, I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You know, Peter Faulding, apologist, saying, oh, well, yes, it was the police didn't want to find her. Of course they wanted to find her. What a ridiculous thing to say. They wanted to find her because that would have proven their hypothesis. They weren't going to, what, a body's, oh, no, we'll just cover that up. Of course they wouldn't do that. I'm sorry, that is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. That's what Peter Faulding wants you to think, because he will he just wants it to look like he did really know what he was doing when really he didn't, or whatever. But anyway, never mind. So let's suppose we take that, you know, what the official narrative, that she slipped and fell in the water by accident. Then let's suppose, oh, all right, she wasn't found even by all those expert teams and what have you. Then what we've got to think is she floated bit by bit, because she wasn't found where she supposedly fell in. She was miles away, or, you know, quite a distance away, over the weir, round the corner, round a few corners. So we're supposed to believe that her body floated all that way. Nobody saw her, even though there were supposedly loads of people there, weren't there? There were all these people literally looking for her, the police looking for her, and in the end, her friends looking for her, search parties going out there, Emma White organised. Nobody saw her or found her, even though she travelled all that way. She must have only travelled at night, because she certainly was never seen in the daytime. There's people go fishing down at that river. There's people there all the time. It's, you know, it is a river that people frequent. So people like this who go on their boats or whatever, you know, are we really supposed to believe for 3 weeks nobody saw her float all that way, until just so happens the psychic Jason was walking by and saw her? You know, my personal opinion is she may not have been in the water all that time, but I don't know that for sure. As always, I'm always struck by the beauty of it all. But look at this, floating down the river. Or stuck in the river, I'm not sure what. So you can see, hang on. What is that?
When sailing upriver towards St Michael's, the wildlife is just brilliant. We've seen white egrets, herons, cormorants, you name it, it's been there. Even buzzards, which are parked on the bank, just basically having a look at us. And we go that slow in the boat. That the reasons are twofold, really. One, we don't want to disrupt the conservation, and secondly, you might just miss something that you want to see.
That was like when it decided a minute ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I want to go.
It's freaky, isn't it, that thing?
And then they see a great big rock. I mean, they're still quite away from St Michael's at this point. You can see how wide it is. See this great big log.
What's that, Bailey? There's a big log. Oh my god. Yeah, don't miss it that at night. God, look at
Interesting how it even got in there. Anyway, it seems to be coming up now more towards St. Michael's. You see that the river is narrowing. Yes, it is so beautiful, as always. So this is more
In December
the area.
2015, St. Michael's suffered serious flooding to the community from the River Wyre due to excess rainfall and high tides at Fleetwood.
Now this is interesting because in so it's coming up towards St. Michael's now, and you can see that the river's getting more narrow and shallower. 2015, there was terrible flooding in St. Michael's. Prince Harry even turned up there, didn't he, to commiserate with all the villagers, etc. Maybe one day I'll root out some footage of that, so that's interesting. So this guy's talking about that and what they did about it.
Since that time, the Environment Agency have engineered new flood defences along the riverbank, which is a very fine balance between conservation and much needed heavy engineering.
Over there, it's huge, isn't it? Oh my god! That is a big thing. Oh my god! That is actually huge.
Is it alive? I
That
think it is it? Poor thing. Wow. The sky, it's like something off a painting, isn't it? It's a very beautiful place.
There we go. Beautiful.
The approach to St. Michael's Bridge can be a little bit tricky. At the bottom of the bridge, there's a lot of debris from car crashes.
Look at the difference here in the river from how it was. And he said there's a lot of debris in the river from car crashes.
Is that have knocked masonry from the bridge into the bottom of the river over the years, which can cause problems for your boat. Hence, on this occasion, and occasions.
Look. For God's sake, he's ankle deep in that water. And this is what we're supposed to believe. Oh, come on. Sorry. I've never seen a video where it's deep. The only videos I've ever seen of this river nearby the spot where Nicola supposedly fell in. I just do not understand why she was not found. I honestly do not. Even PC Thackeray said they made a line. So you see how narrow that river is. Here. PC Thackeray said they walked up this river. This is a policeman said this. In a line. You know, from one end to the other. Yeah? Apart from all the other people, like the Mountain Rescue and the Fire Brigade and all the other things, apart from everything else, PC Thackeray himself said that they made a line, he and his other police officers, like search teams, you know, held hands, if you like, I suppose, and made a line across the width of the river and walked all the way up the river and checked. Didn't find her.
At masonry from the bridge
So she either wasn't there or they're pretty crap at their job, aren't they?
into the bottom of the river over the years, which can cause problems for your boat. Hence, on this occasion and occasions before that, you're probably better off getting out of the boat and towing the boat along manually, or at the very least, get your oars out and test the depth of water to see whether you've got enough clearance to sail through safely. We can't get much further upstream due to the weir ahead. However, there's a small beach on the right-hand side, which often attracts anglers to the river wire. This is where we normally park the boat and have a bit of a light refreshment, such as sandwiches and tea.
So
Everyone
Nicola's
seems to end
body,
up at this little beach point.
Nicola's body has supposedly come round this corner. Come round this corner, then you've got this little bit there where it's almost like a little beach. We know that Nicola and Willow went there sometimes because there's photos of Nicola with Willow and his ball that Emma said no ball. There was no ball. But we've seen photos of Nicola with Willow on that little, I call it a beach area. It's not a beach, is it? But a sandy bank type thing where the river is so shallow. But we're supposed to believe that she came up round there, floated round the corner. You know, that's where they stop and have their lunch. You know, this when you watch things like this, you can see, when you watch it again, you can see whether it's true or not. Maybe there is nothing suspicious. Maybe it was an accident. But at least you can understand why people are suspicious, why people don't think, you know, there's a reason for it. Why don't they just acknowledge that? You know, that's the other thing. Just trying to pretend social media people don't have active minds of their own where they can think, oh, that looks a bit odd, you know, or what, how, just dispelling that as social media ghouls instead of at least acknowledging, yes, it does look like that, but you know, they don't even acknowledge it, do they? It's just like, oh no, because you don't believe the official narrative, you must be a lunatic or something. No, there's reasons why people don't.
Good afternoon. We are at Blackpool and Fleetwood Yacht Club today.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was, you go somewhere else now. It's quite interesting if you're into rivers and things like that. Now, the other thing that somebody said earlier on, I think it might have been you, Laurie, why then? Why have there been all these documentaries? So there's another documentary come out. I've been approached by the people that are making a Amazon Prime video about this case. You know, why is it so? We've had the BBC. How many documentaries have we had about this case? That's not even a murder. Apparently, it's not a murder. It's an accidental death, and it was covered all over the media. There's been documentary after documentary about it. Well, why? If it's not anything. Do you know what I mean? You don't see documentaries on other cases that are not suspicious, like this apparently is not suspicious. So why is everybody trying to make documentaries about it? Why is it all over the mainstream media as well as the social media? Why? You know, that's something to think about as well, I think. Right, what am I going to show you now? Oh, I just want to have a little look at, I can't do a video about Nicola Bulley without looking at Peter Faulding saying he doesn't think she's in the river. So let's have a look at that. I mean, I've done a million videos about him. I don't actually like giving him attention now because I actually think he quite likes the attention. That's something I've worked out. He quite likes the attention. Well, he's like, you know, some people are like that. It doesn't matter if it's positive attention or negative attention. As long as it's attention, they want it. I think he's a bit like that because he just loves being on the telly in his yellow jacket, doesn't he?
equipment. Just explain to me, if you can, the difference between what you are able to do and what has been involved in the search up to this point, Peter.
Well, Jeremy, the police have done a brilliant job so far with the resources they've
That's
got.
not what
We
you're
bring
saying
another
now.
dive team, the same as the police, because we cover the whole of the southeast for police diving. So we have the same equipment as them. They have a sonar. I think ours is slightly higher frequency than their sonar, but we're all doing the same job and working to one end, really. But we covered large areas of ground today jointly. They searched further down the river. We've been searching another part of the river, but at the moment there's nothing to see, I'm afraid.
So no developments. You've done this for a long, long time, and I just want to deliver the truth as best as we can. What is your gut feeling? Do you think that this poor lady is in the river? Are you planning to continue this search for a number of more days? What's the mindset, Pete?
Yeah, well, it's a baffling one, Jeremy. I was talking to the police this afternoon, and with the police search advisors, we went to the bench where, you know, Nicola disappeared, was supposedly where a mobile phone was found, and the police divers were on scene that afternoon. When the day she went missing, they were in the water searching. The river is not moving fast, and after 24, 25 years of doing this type of work and hundreds of cases, I am totally baffled, because the divers, normally you would expect, put a diver in. People, if they drown, they generally go down where they are. We normally find them within sort of 5 to 10 meters of where they went down, even after a few days. This is the most baffling case I've ever worked on.
You've been widely reported, Peter, as saying that the investigation was a mess and that you're baffled. Do you imply from that, and I'm simply asking the questions, do you not believe she's in that river? Do you think there's something else here? We have to be so careful, because all this conspiracy theories have been thrown around. What's your professional opinion, Peter?
Well, yeah, well, just first, I never said that the thing was a mess. That was misquoted. There's a lot of speculation from everywhere. The police have done a brilliant job so far. It's a lot. They've got nothing to go on. That's the problem. All they've got, Jeremy, is a mobile phone at the moment. I said that it possibly could be a decoy. I worked on a case for Lorna Torn up in Scunthorpe. We found a shoe by the river.
Now, the thing is, we must remember that Peter not only didn't, all right, he says now, oh, well, yeah, I found that target and the police didn't check it, told me they'd checked it, you know, blaming it all on the police. Okay, let's presume that's correct. But he did not explain then why he then went on and actually cast aspersions about it being a suspicious thing, comparing it with the case of Laura Torn, which was a lady who was murdered and her shoe was left by the riverbank by a murderer, you know, as a decoy. It was him that brought in all the ideas of it being a decoy. And it was him then that made Paul start talking about decoys, you know. So, you know, whatever you think of Paul, whether you think he had anything to do with anything, whether you think he was, I don't know what people say, a domestic abuser or whatever. I don't know if he was or not, because I've never seen any proof of that, as apart from anonymous posters on Facebook, etc. Now, one thing we do know is that Nicola had been, you know, apparently she'd had to go after the welfare check that was done before she disappeared. She's had to go to hospital, didn't she, to have a head injury checked out, apparently. But then in the last documentary, in the BBC documentary, they said she'd fallen and hurt her arm. But that's not what they were saying before. This is another thing that makes people get sort of mixed up about this case. Well, was it her head or her arm? You know, it's not as if they're even close to each other. You might say, oh, well, actually, it wasn't her head, it was her neck, or it wasn't her neck, it was her head, or it wasn't her arm, it was her wrist. But now that they started off saying it was a head injury, now in the documentary, they said it was an arm injury. Well, which one was it? these are the things that make people wonder about this case. You can't blame them. You can't just say, oh, you mustn't, oh, nothing strange about that, saying it was a head and then it was her arm. I mean, which one was it? You know, it does make me a bit angry, all that, like treating people like they're fools because they actually do remember what someone said. I think people like this, like Peter Faulding, he thinks he can say what he wants. People will forget what he said. But of course, it's all on video these days. I mean, this is only one. You know, how many times did he go? So if he thought the police hadn't checked out his target properly, that's the time he should have sent his images to whoever. You know, waiting to be called for the inquest. What a load of cojones. He wasn't waiting to be, he was waiting for the College of Policing report. When he got wind that the College of Policing report was going to make him look bad, that's when he looked up that YouTuber. He wasn't a big YouTuber, but he was gullible. He was easy to manipulate. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to put it through some of he'd been on the James English YouTube channel. Why didn't he go to him? He had met, you know, thousands of more subscribers than the little YouTube channel that he went to. Why did he go to the little YouTube channel? Because he could manipulate him easily. That's why. So, you know, that's in my opinion. And he used it. He was used, I think. But anyway, that's by the by. But he got something out of it. I suppose it grew his YouTube channel. But still, you know, but he sort of be forever entwined with Peter Faulding. He can't be independent because he can't talk independently because he's, you know, as far as I'm concerned, if Peter Faulding wanted to come on my YouTube channel and provide evidence that he had found Nicola, that's fine. But if he wants to come on my YouTube channel and just talk a load of twaddle, and he can't justify why he did what he did, like, in other words, nothing, until the actual College of Policing thing came out that made him look bad. And then he didn't go ahead and do what he said he was going to do. You know, I'm just sick of saying it now. I just think if people cannot see what Peter Faulding is by now, they're never going to see what he is. He's a braggart. He does things for publicity, for nothing more. He doesn't care about Nicola Bulley and her family. Doesn't care. But he's all about ego. Now, he's helped some families, and great. If he can help families, that's good. But it has not helped Nicola Bulley's family. And I think he's a large reason why people were suspecting Paul as well. Because he said it was a decoy, the phone was a decoy, and Paul took what he said. You know, I'm not sticking up for Paul or anybody. I'm not on anybody's side except Nicola's. But to me, it seems clear that Paul said what he said because of what Peter said, because Peter was supposed to be the expert. And that's why they're not speaking now. You know, it's just obvious, honestly. So as I say, I've given up now. If people can't see it for what it obviously is, there's no hope for them. So, you know, Peter did not go ahead and do what he said he was going to do and get his things verified, or didn't. In fact, he leaked them, didn't he? He showed them to everybody, and now everybody's seen them. But, you know, they don't... And also, it doesn't really matter. It's only about, it's not the fact of him finding Nicola or not finding Nicola, really is only about his ego. It's not about anything that helps with Nicola's case. You know, it's just about him and the police, him saying he's better than the police. It's nothing more than that. Anyway, this is, as I say, is just one interview where she was categorically not in the river. I could bring up loads, but I'm not going to.
We were called in to search the river, but the actual shoe was laid there by the murderer. She was found miles away, buried in a haystack. So this is a totally odd thing. Whether it's a plant, there could be a third party involved, I don't know. But the only evidence we've got to go on at the moment is the mobile phone down the river. And really, that's all we can go. There is much investigation work going on by the police in the background that they're continuing with. So, you know, they're doing great work in the background, the detectives and the police at the river here. But it's a case that we just need to solve to, you know, give closure to the family one way or another.
And for you, I guess most of what you're doing is getting rid of possibilities, trying to tick things off. And it must be, I mean, I guess you don't want to be successful. I don't mean that also in the wrong way. You don't really want to obviously find a body, but you talk very candidly about how much of a shock this is. I have to say, you've done this for 25 years. You kindly offered your services and your search team services for free. Why was this case so important to you, Peter?
It's one of these cases that dragged on, and we, you know, I see a grieving family. I've done this with, you know, other cases like Ellis Downs case in the past where we've recovered the drowning victims. You know, we get paid by the police normally if we get called in, but this case has been dragging on, and we just decided to get involved like we did with young Ellis. And let's try and find her. We've got the technology, we've got the experience to assist the police, who are already doing a brilliant job. But we can just bring some extra bodies and extra technology to this search, and hopefully, you know, I don't want to find Nicola. I hope we don't find her, but hopefully the detectives doing the job in the background can piece this together. It's a jigsaw puzzle, and this is so baffling. And I was talking to the police tonight. We're all baffled. And, you know, it's a difficult one, a really difficult one.
Somebody was telling me, and I could be factually wrong, but the dog wasn't wet, the collar was off the dog, the ball wasn't wet. It really is a mystery, a macabre mystery, if you like. And you do absolutely get it right when you say you can only think about a partner, a husband, and 2 young girls who, you know, they must be in a terrible, terrible place. But you and the police are doing everything. What is your gut instinct, if you don't mind me asking you? What's your gut instinct, Peter?
Well, I've got total faith in the police dive team. We work with them all the time. So, you know, I think, Jeremy, after I heard today how the police were here so quickly to search that area where it's believed where Nicola went in, I personally don't think she's in the river. That's just my gut instinct at this point. I may be proved wrong later on, but the police have done a fantastic search already with their existing resources, plus their sonar. Now we've got our sonar. We're searching where the bench is tomorrow up the river. So we're going to go back over that area. Not that the police haven't done it, but we're just going to go further up the river tomorrow to try and, you know, rule this river out. And then if Nicola's not here, I do not know. It's just unbelievable.
Peter Faulding, thank you for being on JK Live, and thank you for the work that you're doing free of charge. We really do appreciate it. And can I just repeat, the thoughts of this entire nation go out to her family. And, you know, let's hope Peter is right.
Now, I wasn't going to show another one about Peter Faulding, but, you know, this is what always happens when I'm searching for something. I was looking for the information about the water levels, because they weren't that high on the day, to be honest. They weren't. Somebody was talking about the water levels, but I've looked into that before. But as I was looking for that, couldn't find that. I can never find what I'm looking for. But then look at this. In the Welsh news, dive expert shares proof that Nicola Bulley did not fall into the water. So this was on the 9th of February, 2023. Peter Faulding says if Nicola had gone into the water, she would just have stood up. I honestly think Peter just forgets what he says. Peter, if you're watching this, what you need to do is write down when you say things so that you don't get caught out later. So on the 9th of February, you said if Nicola had gone into the water, she would have just stood up. So forensic dive expert leading the search for missing mum Nicola Bulley believes a new video could offer evidence she didn't fall into the river. The diving expert who led the hunt for missing mum Nicola Bulley today said he has proof she didn't fall into the river where police believe she did. Peter Faulding, 60, says he filmed the river wire, showing it to be slow moving, meaning a body would have sunk very quickly and remained nearby. He also said the rocks by the bank, which would have been just under 2 foot of water when Nicola went missing, means she could simply have stood up if she'd fallen down. He's the expert. I've been saying that for ages, but I'm not an expert. He's the expert. This is what he said. He forgets what he said. He said the video makes him believe Nicola did not fall into the river in St. Michael's when she vanished 13 days ago while walking her dog. You need to write things down, Peter. You need to be careful about saying one thing and then something else. And he felt a wider land search of outbuildings and sheds was now needed after his team's sonar scans of the river failed to find any proof of her body in the river. Mr. Faulding drafted in to help Lancashire Police's efforts. Now, we found out as well that, you know, he was already persona non grata with the police for various reasons. You know, his relationship with the police has deteriorated, hasn't it? And we found out since that, you know, the police didn't want him there. They didn't want him there because of this. You know, they had good reason not to want him there. I'm sorry, but they did. They had good reason not to want him there because exactly what they were scared that he would do, cause all this, you know, all about him, make it all about him. That's exactly what he did. Caused all those problems. That's why they didn't want him there. So he called off his search on Wednesday after his team found no trace of her using its advanced sonar equipment. But while police probing her disappearance say they believe she fell in, he believes. So don't forget, the police have always said they thought she fell in. You know, whether you believe it's true or not, that's what the police have always said. The police have never said anything different. They have always said the same thing. So you can't say that they've changed what they've said. They haven't. He has. So he believes a barely moving log on the water blows their theory apart. He said the log stayed at that point for 20 minutes and it actually spiraled and went up 6 feet and came back to the same place. The river on the day was slightly higher. It was about 1 foot higher. But I'd be very surprised in my experience if she was there, as a body usually goes to the bottom very quickly. If Nicola slipped down the bank, she would have landed in about 2 foot of water, but onto rocks, and she could have stood up. There you go. You know, this is what he said. Let's have a look at this. He didn't he do like a video that he showed? It's not there, the video, but. So, yeah, let's not forget Peter Faulding's role in causing all the doubts and conspiracy theories, etc. Hang on, sorry. Don't argue in chat because nobody knows for sure what's happened. So you've all got your views, I've got my view, but nobody is right or wrong because nobody knows what happened to Nicola. Nobody knows. I'm back. You can hear me now, yeah? You can hear me now. Okay, right, we're going to look at what I'm going to have to break off for lunch in a bit, but I will be back later, I think, talking some more. Trouble is, there's so much to say, isn't there? There's so many things to look over. It just so many things to look over. So, you know, how do I decide which bits? And none of it sort of takes away from the fact. Right, let me just talk about the inquest. So there's a few things that came up at the inquest. The man in black that's never been explained, never came forward. The screams that have never been explained. Nobody came forward to say that they had made those screams. What else came up? Oh, at the inquest, the bruises on Nicola's body that have never been explained. The petechiae, is it? The aneurysms in her eyes that have never been explained, that can be caused by drowning, but quite often are caused by strangulation. You know, there's so much, like the forensic report. You know, there's so many problems with so many things. Then this PC Thackeray's ridiculous video that he made. Let's see if I can find that actually. That video. I've got the video of PC Thackeray somewhere, but trouble is I've got so much information on my computer about Nicola and the Nicola Bulley case. Sometimes it's hard to just lay my hands on it quickly. Let's see. Right. I've got so many photos. So, oh my God, I've got so much information on Nicola because, of course, it was such a big thing. Right, I think actually we'll have... No, we won't. We won't. I'd like to have a look at that PC Thackeray thing again. I'll look that up for later when we come back on later. I think what I'll do now is we're going to have a... Do you remember Sky News did the walk? We've looked at this a couple of times. Let's have a little look at that walk. I was avid, like watching it because that was the first time on one of my... You know, it was strange that Louise was never at the river, was she? Or she was never interviewed at the river or seen at the river. Odd, really. But anyway, they're saying that she was in the church. That was my sister. You know, because I always say about, oh, if it was my partner. Let's go to the...
Definitely off the lead. But this is her normal walk. And this is, of course, this riverbank, which has been scoured by police, not only in the water, by divers, by specialist teams, but on the banks as well.
Now, something else that occurred to me while I was watching this again is, you know, all this talk about the harness. Did she take the harness off or didn't she take the harness off? When in all the photos that you see of her, the harness is still on Willow. Now, if she had taken that harness off, now harnesses, you know, you probably won't stick it in your pocket because they're a little bit bigger, aren't they? I don't know. But did nobody see her carrying the harness? So all these witnesses that supposedly witnesses that saw her walking the dog, would they not have seen the harness in her hand? That's never really been established, has it? Would they not have seen that harness in her hand? Or did she stick it in her pocket? And if she stuck it in her pocket, why was it not in her pocket when she was found? Why was it just like put there at the side of the river, just like a decoy? It was a decoy. Even Paul said it was a decoy. Come on.
By forensic police officers, they've really investigated and thoroughly checked the banks and the water bed.
Gone down to the sea and back again on several occasions with the scuba team.
Yeah, there has been, look, you know, there's no denying, Kay, there's been a lot of resource pumped into this investigation over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
There has been, you know, a really high-tech equipment used as well to try and see if they can locate Nicola. Of course, their working hypothesis is that she did end up in this river. You can just see as we go around here
Look
as well,
here,
Kay,
actually, yeah.
this is the weir.
Yeah.
Now, what the police say is that it is very likely that if Nicola was in the water, the force of the river could have, that the flow of the river could have sent her over that weir. And that's where you see the water picks up, the pace picks up.
Can I just say as well, this is what I mean about being eerie. Because if the police were correct, now I don't think maybe she was even in the water then. This was the Friday, remember? She was found on the Sunday. I knew she would be. Right, I found PC Thackeray's video, so I think we'll watch that. Now, this is on Irish Eyes YouTube channel, which we've not seen Irish Eyes for a while, but I could find it quicker on hers than I could on mine. So here we go. Hope she won't mind me using it. I'm sure she won't.
As you can see, as you go down to the river, it is quite a steep slope. The river is probably down about half a metre from the day when we attended, when she went missing. As you can get to the bottom here, you can see there's quite a large step down into the water. Hopefully you can see on the screen there's a pile of rocks. Those rocks constitute a wall that goes pretty much vertically straight down in the water to around.
You would fall onto the rocks, wouldn't you? Even if the water level was higher, you would fall onto the rocks. You won't, unless she jumped in. You know, maybe she did jump in. I don't feel that she did, but I'm just saying maybe she did. But to clear those rocks, she would have had to jump in or be pushed in, of course. You know, did somebody push her in that river? But if you just fell in there, you would hit those rocks. Whether the water level was a bit higher or wasn't, you would hit those rocks. I'm sorry, but you would. No, people can't deny the evidence of their own eyes.
Around 4 meters of depth, and then as you go out across the river, it slopes gently upwards with a sandy bottom towards the far bank. If I get into the water, it doesn't look like it's flowing very fast at all at the moment. On the day in question, you could see there was a steady flow downstream. At the moment we're above the weir, and the whole time we were here searching, the water was flowing downstream towards the weir. Once I get into the water here, you can see there are some trees that overhang into the water, but it's fairly clear at the point of entry on both sides. There's nothing that could have stopped her, and you can see as we look back, the wall, as I said, goes pretty much straight down. It looks like it's man-made and to stop the erosion at the corner of the river. Now I'm into the middle of the river now, and it is pushing me downstream towards the weir. Probably around about walking pace, and it was certainly flowing a little bit faster on the day in question. On the day in question, the water was 4 degrees Celsius. To somebody who's not in a dry suit, that would feel very, very, very cold, almost freezing. And if it fell in accidentally, I think the cold water shock would have probably taken effect, which causes you to gasp, can cause your muscles to seize, so you can't swim properly. Underneath us now, as I dived on the first day, I know there are about 3 trees on the bottom, about 3.5 meters down here. We searched all around those trees and there was nothing caught up in them. So it's my belief that if she did fall in, she was probably floating and being pushed along in the flow. Once you get a little bit further down, you can probably see there's an island in the middle, and the first real snagging point onto the right there, to the trees hanging into the water. Again, on the bottom here, it's very sandy. The water is quite murky, however, we could see when we're on the bottom between about 1 meter and 2 meters using a torch. It gently slopes up to the left where it reaches the far bank. On the right hand side continues to be that wall. This far down, I believe there was a bit of a ledge about 1 meter under the water before the ledge came out, probably 1.5 meters before dropping down again to about 3.5 meters. As we get further down towards the these trees, I remember the water, the bottom, sorry, started to slope up, and I've just reached the bottom now. So quickly, you can see how quickly it slopes up. I am now standing up in the water. It's about 1.5 meters deep here. And this part was all searched on the night, as we could see through it using torches. I don't know if you can see on the screen, you can see the bottom here. It's completely flat, a few rocks. In the first place, you could have had a body to be caught up, really. Could be this tree. Obviously this was searched, there was no trace. As we move further towards where this island is, we're getting to about 100 meters from the point of entry, or the perceived point of entry. Once again it gets deeper and deeper, and this was dived on a subsequent day. We searched around the front of the island here, and nothing was found on the actual day. I'm currently off.
Yeah, now he's walking through this just so that you can see that he is. The only way, to me, it's possible that she fell and drowned is if she banged her head. She may have banged her head on those rocks, but she did not fall in that river and get swept away by the current. Definitely not. That did not happen, in my opinion. And not only in my opinion, I might not be an expert like Peter Faulding, but I've seen enough of these kind of things to see what happens. If Nicola fell into that river accidentally, the only thing she would have had to have knocked her head. I know they're talking about cold water shock and things like that, and that is possible. It is possible, of course it is. But she'd have to be in the water. She fell into that water. It's literally ankle deep. Even Peter Faulding said that. It's not, can you get cold water shock if you, falling up to your ankles? Or did she knock her head? And maybe she did, because there are rocks down there. But they have to, they have to see why people are not sure about it, and if you transporter are saying you've been there, you've been there, then, well, you should know that as well. So, and 10 centimeters difference in the water level is not that much. If the 10 centimeters difference, not that much, is it? The levels were not really high. It wasn't a time where they'd been, sometimes there are high levels, but that was not one of those times. Now, it could be that that's the way it happened, and maybe we're looking into it too much. But, you know, there's too many other things. If it was just that alone, but it wasn't just that alone. We haven't even gone into like the Evelina Sasak, you know, the Polish vet, and it's just one thing after another. I mean, it's like bloody, you know, Midsummer Murders or something. How many different things can can happen in one little place? You know, it can't all be coincidence. But for me, this video actually that this PC Thackeray made was one of the biggest things that made me convinced that this, you know, or made me feel that it was likely this was not an accident. But, you know, I'm not saying that I'm correct. I don't know. Nobody knows.
The bottom again. So it's over 1.5 meters deep here. I think from memory, and dived further down later. It's about 3 meters deep just past, sorry, it's about 2 meters deep just past this island. And then once again, we start coming up to the first right-hand bend. The water starts to shallow out, and very shortly, I imagine I'll be able to touch the floor again. I'm not swimming along at all here. I'm just letting the flow take me. I'd say it's a slower flow than on the day in question, but it's still happily walking pace. If you can see us moving along the bank. Again, you can see a small overhang of trees as the river bends to the right. Still not touching the bottom. It's around 2 meters deep here. The bottom continues to be sandy and flat with a few rocks on it. I know there was a tree here as well that was located on sonar that was dived and searched all around. And just as we get to the apex of the corner, my feet have just touched the ground now, so it's probably around 1.5 meters deep here. Again, nothing on the bottom at all that would hold anything up. No overhanging trees that could have really been a snag. And we searched in a line on the night she went missing, all the way from here down to the weir, as it gets shallower and shallower from here. Now looking at about 1 meter's depth. Hopefully you can see on the screen, you can see the bottom. There's nothing on it. As we get around the corner, because it gets shallower and slightly narrower, the water starts to pick up in pace as you get towards the weir. The exit of this corner is about 200 meters from the point of entry. Again, if you can see the bottom, completely sandy, nothing there that will cause any kind of snag. And we're confident on the day in question that she wasn't in this area. The depth across the river, which I think is about 20 meters wide, is fairly consistent. completely flat here, man-made banks on both sides. Yeah, and you can see there are some slightly bigger rocks, probably fallen away from the side, but all of these were searched, and there was nobody here on the day in question. You can probably see from the state of the river now, like I said, it's picking up in speed. If I was to sit down in this water now, you can see it's taking me along quite a bit faster. Let's try and measure it from the side. It's now probably at a slow jogging pace. As we come around the corner, you can see the weir in front of us.
Yeah, so there are bits that are deeper than others, obviously. And after the weir or around the weir area, it seems to be quite deep. But he's walking again now. It's the bits in between. We're supposed to think, you know, that she travelled all that way without anyone seeing her, bearing in mind there were people actively looking for her. Not only the police, but people that were going there, and, you know, and in the end, Jason did see her, you know, walking along there, and he happened to be the one that saw her. But, you know, was there anybody even there? Where were the police on that day? I don't know. It's like, had they given up looking by then? Because remember that Andrew Snowden had said that she will probably pop up around about the 19th of February. Now, you know, he could explain that and say that's for a scientific reason, that he thought that he's probably been told that. We'll see what happens with these twins that have disappeared in Aberdeen, if indeed they have gone into the river. Wouldn't they be expected to be found round about 21, 23 days, you know, after they supposedly fell in the river? Now, don't forget, the police believe these twins, Elisa and Henrietta, the Hungarian twins in Aberdeen, that they've gone into the river. Now, the police in the end were proven right as far as they're concerned. Nicola was in the river and she came up, or she was found at more or less the time that they said that she would be found, like for sort of forensic reasons. We'll see what happens with the twins. But of course, other people that supposedly, or that the police think go into the river, are never found. Jack O'Sullivan has never been found. The police believe he was in the river, but where is his body surfaced then? You know, so if it's true what the police believe, I don't know that that's what's happened to Jack. But what I'm saying is, this video that PC Thackeray made, it did not prove the point he was trying to make. Because it's not, there are bits of this river where you could see that somebody could be difficult to find, but not where she actually went in. And they should at least acknowledge the fact that it, you know, it seems strange. They don't even acknowledge it. It's just like, if you even think there could be anything, you must be a social media ghoul. You're not a social media ghoul, just questioning things that don't make sense.
The weir is around about 300 metres from the point of entry. As you get towards it, water now is shin deep on me. We do think it's down a little bit from the day in question, But if you're floating, there's still more than enough water to push you along. Again, all of this was searched on the night in question by officers wading in a line, and we could see the whole width of the river. As you get to the weir itself, hopefully you can see there's a lip, but there's a lot of water going over it, even though the water is now down from where it was on the day. It comfortably pushed me over, float over the top, and straight into the faster flowing water at the bottom. It's not powerful enough, there's not a big enough drop on the other side to stop you. Again, we did search the other side of that weir to make sure there was nothing trapped in it. As I stand up now, it's waist deep, flowing faster. The bottom is rocky, difficult to stand up on, and it does shallow to here where I'm about knee deep. Now below the weir, this river is tidal, and so it can flow in both directions. Again, when we were here, it was all flowing downstream on the day. But I believe at the time she went missing, it would have been low tide. So before we arrived, there would have been a high tide that pushed things back up, and then it would have started ebbing away as we started diving. I believe the fire brigade are searching downstream, and they were here before we arrived. We arrived about 3 p.m. and started diving at 4 p.m. If you look to the left, you can see there's a sandy bank. Over to the right, you can see there are some trees where someone potentially could have been caught up. These weren't searched by us on the day. I believe the fire brigade were in a boat and were searching in and around all of these snag hazards. Still currently waist deep, and there are some more trees on this right hand bank that potentially could have been a snag hazard. In the middle of the river here, there is a shallow sandbank. There's a channel that runs to the right and to the left where it's deeper. I'm just coming onto the sandbank now. I'm coming up from waist deep to shin deep. But on either side, slightly deeper. So here I'm waist deep. You can see again man-made rocks on the wall on the way down. On the river right, on river left, a sandy bank. I come over this shallow sandbank and back into the deeper water in the channel.
You know, he keeps trying to say he's floating. We could see clearly he was walking along there. Anyway, let's carry on.
On the other side of it, which is now around chest deep on this side. It's around about 400 meters now from the point of entry, heading down towards the bridge, which is around about 500 meters away. And the water here, as we exit the corner, is deeper. I'm off bottom, around about 2 meters. Again, I'm not swimming, I'm just being pushed along by the current, which is at a slow walking pace.
Well, let me just see that again. Keep saying he's obviously he looks like he's walking to me, but anyway, there you go.
Slightly deeper. So here I'm waist deep. You can see again man-made.
Oh, he's got his feet there. Is that his feet?
Wall on the way down.
Yeah.
On the river right, on river left, a sandy bank. I come over this.
Yeah, he's not. He's standing up. Why is he saying, I'm not swimming, I'm just being pushed along? He stood up, for God's sake. You can see his shadow. For God's sake.
Shallow sandbank and back into the deeper water in the channel on the other side of it, which is now around chest deep on this side. It's around about 400 meters now from the point of entry, heading down towards the bridge, which is around about 500 meters away.
Crackers.
And the water here, as we exit the corner, is deeper and off bottom, around about 2 meters. Again, I'm not swimming, I'm just being pushed along by the current.
No, you're walking. You're walking.
Which is at a slow walking
Just
pace.
saw your shadow. Oh, it's crazy, this case.
A large tree overhanging the water here, where potentially somebody floating could be caught. If I go over to it, just put my legs under it, then pretty sure there's not a lot that's actually hanging into the water. It definitely could stop you if you came into it, but there's nothing underneath these branches that are on the surface. There's nothing coming down into the water. And again, still steep-sided with a man-made banking.
Okay. So, yeah, I've got to have a break now because I've got to go off and have lunch and that, but I'll be back later and we'll have a little, I mean, the trouble is, how do you put all the, oh my God, you know, all the different things, the College of Policing report, the inquest, all the different details of what happened. You know, I don't know if you've looked at the College of Policing report. I'm going to show you my playlist because I did chop it up into short, well, I say shorter videos, because the College of Policing report that came out in September, if you've got the time to put it on in the background, or, you know, it's interesting. There are things that the police take responsibility for. You know, there are things that they say they did wrong, but it's interesting to hear about why they were so annoyed with Peter Faulding as well, why Paul came under suspicion from the public, you know, the reasons why. Of course, then there's the interview with Paul that'd be quite good to watch again, wouldn't it? All the interviews with Emma, all these things that contributed. And the College of Policing report, they do take responsibility for a lot of that, because at the end of the day, Emma was just left to sort of do the almost do the press conferences because the police did not deal with them properly. Now I'm just looking for, this is my, let me just show you this actually. I've got a full playlist about Nicola Bulley. So many videos, the College of Policing. There's a playlist about the College of Policing. Conclusions, there's a playlist about the inquest, there's a playlist about Emma's interviews, you know, all these different things. But there's so much of it, isn't there? And, you know, over these 2 years, people have been obsessed with the Nicola Bulley case. And when, you know, as a YouTuber, when you try and leave it, if you like, because, you know, it seems like the family don't want all this attention, But then you try and leave it, and then people accuse you of, you know, not caring about Nicola, or if you make a video about Nicola, you're trying to cash in on people's misery. You cannot win. That's how it's been from the beginning with the Nicola Bulley case. You can't win, you know. So in the end, I just do what I think. And at the moment, I won't be making any new videos about Nicola Bulley, because there is nothing new unless there becomes something new to say. But today, because we're at this 2-year sort of point, that's why I'm showing these videos and just looking back over it, because we have to remember Nicola, don't we? Not only Nicola, but all missing people. But the thing is, there's so many missing people, you can't remember all of them. But it's important to think, it's not only social media, why is this case now? We've got another documentary coming up on Prime, Amazon Prime. Why keep making all these documentaries about one missing person? Why not give another missing person a chance? You know, it's interesting, isn't it, to think why is so much focus put on Nicola Bulley? As I say, not only by social media, every time you try and leave it behind, something comes up that brings it back into the spotlight again. And that's from mainstream media. Yeah, it's interesting why. And why do other missing people get no attention whatsoever? Anyway, I'm going, because I'm going to go and have lunch. I'll be back later, and I'll hopefully see you then. Listen, leave me some comments to say what you would like to, because there's so many things to look back over. I can't, you know, one day, I'm only going to be doing this today. I can't put in everything that came up with the Nicola Bulley case. So leave me comments, please, to tell me which part of this whole event, if you like, would you like to look at again. You know, it might be, I don't know, like say Emma's interviews, Paul's interviews, the family's interviews, or what the police conferences. I've got all that information somewhere. You leave me your comments to tell me which bits you'd like to see again or look over again. And that's what I'll do later on today. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being polite in your comments, because we have all got different views and we just have to accept each other's views. We don't argue. We're not condemning of other people and what they think. We all, you know, we've all got free thinking, and, you know, as long as we're not nasty to anyone, we've got a right to that thinking. But all I would say to people is, yeah, look at the evidence that's right in front of you. You know, that's all you can do, is deal with the evidence, or lack of it, of course. Okay, see you soon. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Don't forget to leave your DNA on the like button. And most important of all, take care, and may your God go with you. Bye.